Yo, what's up? It's your man's Joaquin. Make sure y'all like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast because we got some dope interviews. So now let's get into the podcast. They listening, they listening, they listening to me. They listening, they listening, they listening to me. Yo, what's up? It's your man's Joaquin, and you tuned in to another episode of Heat Level Podcast. What's up, world? Well, today I got an interesting and a very special guest. I've never did no podcast with the type of guest that I got today. So I'm gonna let y'all know he go by the name of Michael Gorbe, and he's gonna explain to you who he is, where he's from, and what he does now, and what he used to do. Michael Gorbe, talk to the people.
Hey, Joaquin, it's great to be here. My name is Michael Gorbe. I am a former police officer. I was a police officer for about 15 years, and I was a former police academy instructor for about 10 years.
Okay.
So I have a very unique skill set. I was in a constant state of training, as well as being a police officer on the street. Here also to talk about my new book, Selling the Police, which is a discussion about how police can improve our PR image by using modern day police training combined with proven sales techniques to improve our PR image in our communities and in the United States.
And where you from?
I am from beautiful Traverse City, Michigan.
Okay.
If you've never been here, you got to get here. It's wine country.
How far is that from Detroit or Flint?
We're about 4 hours from Detroit.
Okay.
And we have the beautiful bays here, the water, the beaches. It's gorgeous here. So.
Okay, and then man, we're gonna dive right into it because you talking to a cat that actually did 7 years in prison. They used to always rival with the law at all times of my life until I became who I am now. So we're gonna get right into it. So, what made you become a cop? You know, what made you become a police officer?
Well, Joaquin, I come from a police family.
Okay.
My father was a police officer. My father-in-law was a police officer. My brother is still a police officer. So it kind of runs in my blood.
Okay. So was your thing of you wanted to become a police officer to help the people and not hurt the people, right?
That's definitely true. Yes, I became a police officer to help and to make a difference and to protect and serve our communities.
Okay, so let's get right into it now. You being a white man and me being a black man, the tension that comes between black and brown people and the police is very high in this country. We seen last year, 2020, where we seen a man killed on camera by the name of George Floyd, and we've seen other situations like Breonna Taylor's and Aubrey and all that stuff that happened between now. I know the other guys, they were ex-police or reserve police or whatever they was, but the racial tension when it comes to police and black men in this country, and even our black women, but mostly the black men in this country. And just diving right into, I've experienced police brutality. And most of them, 95% of them, was from white police officers. Okay, and the thing is, I've been talked to in crazy ways. Once they put the handcuffs on me, couple kicks in the ribs, couple elbows to the face. You know what I'm saying? I was called, niggers and black motherfuckers and all types of shit, right? But it doesn't matter. You go to court. The judge don't give a fuck anyway. It's like you did a crime, whatever, get his ass in the back and we'll go from there. Now, you've been an ex-cop and you say that you became a cop to help. What's the transformation from these cops that come and say, well, we're going to help the people, but then they turn around and start hurting the people they supposed to be protecting and serving?
Well, I don't know if people turn. I'm sure there is some that do turn, but if your experience, from your experiences, maybe those police officers shouldn't be police officers to begin with, and maybe some of them do start out good with good intentions, and then turn through whatever reason. I don't know. It's a case by case basis. I guess you could, do a psychological profile on every police officer and try to figure out what makes them tick. But I think that the majority of police officers in this country have good intentions. But I'm definitely not a believer of the 1% theory, where 99% of police officers have good intentions and are good. I think it's more maybe 70%. I think
70%.
you have a lot of bad apples in our profession.
And and
That
and and when it comes to the bad apples in your profession, if you say, I remember back in the in the 60s and stuff, they in New York when stuff was going on, like 3/4 of the police were crooked. Now, my thing is, you say 70-30, right? Now that could
was a
be
guess.
a guess, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a guess. But this is the
Yeah, we don't
thing:
know.
if you got 70 that's good and you got 30% that are bad, two of those 30% can make that whole precinct or that whole group look bad. And I know that because I lived, I'm from the inner city. I'm straight from the hood, you know what I mean? I'm from the ghettos. So the thing is, if you have an officer that comes and he's like the best officer in the world, just say he is a good officer, right? But we done had so many bad officers come through that we don't give a fuck about the good officer. It's like, okay, you ain't no different from them. You know what I mean? That's your buddies. And if you can speak about this, cool. But me personally, I think police officers, they are their own gang. Now, they're a legal gang, but I feel like a lot of them, and I'm not talking about the good ones or whatever, but the ones that are like a gang, the crooked cops, the ones that have this type of bond together where, look, I don't tell on you, you don't tell on me. If internal affairs get you, look, we gonna try to get you out. And it goes high up to captains and lieutenants. We have seen this for years and years to come. So I want to ask you, what do you feel about that when it comes to that part of the police department?
Well, I think that was a part of the culture in the past, and it still is on some levels today. But with video and body cams, it's hard in some cases to continue that sort of organizational culture. Whereas you got the bad cops covering for each other, because if you once the video is released on a lot of these incidents, it's a done deal. Back before video, I think it was easier
Yeah.
for those kind of clicks to exist. And it still is possible today,
Yeah.
because videos can disappear and evidence can be falsified.
Yes, it still happens. I know exactly.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but I feel that I think a lot of administrations, a lot of municipalities, once the video is released, they'll burn the officer that did something illegal to distance themselves from any sort of liability. And as they'll prosecute. I think you see more prosecutions these days than you did in days gone by. So I think the video and the body cams have played a big role in that. And I just don't think that you can hide things as much as you used to back 20, 25 years ago. And I think the officers that are coming through right now are trained with those body cams and videos. So they're used to that. Whereas 25 years ago, you might have had quite a resistance to having videos in a patrol car or body cams, because
okay,
police officers weren't used to that.
Well, let me ask you this there. Okay, now we talk about the body cams and what the police have now. Tell me why you still have officers that still make the decision to fire their weapon on unarmed black men and brown men in this country. Like it's still one of those things that keeps happening, even though they got the body cam, they got the dashboard, and they still are firing upon these black and brown people. That's quote unquote what a lot of officers say is, black and brown people look older and they look more aggressive than their white counterparts, which has been said by a few officers of the law.
I think you have to take I think you have to take it on a case by case basis, and we have to analyze each case separately. But the one common denominator, and I say this a lot of times, the common denominator with a lot of these cases is people were resisting the police. And I always advise anybody that I talk to, the time to fight the police is not on the side of the road. It's in the courtroom. So,
You are
a lot of these,
yeah.
a lot of these cases you see resistance in, when there's stress on law enforcement personnel, you have a reduction in fine motor skills, and anything's possible. So I always tell people the time to fight the police is not on the side of the road. It's in the courtroom. I tell my children, you just go with the program. You never resist the police.
Well, okay. Now, let's be honest, right? We live in America, okay? And this country was not built for Black people to be successful. Let's just be honest, right? The laws of the land and actually of policing were meant to go against Black and brown people in this country. Now, everybody talk about, oh, it's the past, it's the past. Well, let me tell everybody something. Segregation wasn't that long ago, okay? My grandmother is living today, and she was in that era, okay? So people talk like it was 1,000 years ago. No, it wasn't. Like, it wasn't. So if you talk about a country that was built upon that, built on the backs of Black and natives of this country, and a lot of natives' land was stolen. Now you talk about the laws that were written against us, like stand your ground. Stand your ground was not wrote for Black and brown people in this country. You can go do the history of the stand your ground laws. You know how many Black people benefit from the stand your ground law? Let's be honest. It was a woman that was in Florida who her husband was trying to hurt her. She ended up shooting a pistol in the air to get him away from her. And guess what? She ended up getting 20 years. She didn't even get the stand your ground law, and he was abusive, and it was in records that he was abusive. But this Black woman did not get to do the stand your ground law. But we had somebody like George Zimmerman who was able to basically pull that off. And I can name a whole lot of other cases, right? And I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay.
Right.
So I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm like, I'm right down the street. I'm 40 minutes from Pulaski, where the KKK started. You get what I'm saying? So, and so when we talk about the systematic racism in this country, it's systematic. And that deals with the police, the judicial system, with the judges, the lawyers. So it's easier to, I call it, enslave instead of, it's easier to enslave through the system than trying to do it the old way. So when you go to prison, like for example, I went to prison, right? I did 7 years. What I did, should I went to prison? Because I didn't even, honestly, flat out, I was like 85% not guilty, okay? A lot of it was lies, but them lies got me convicted. Me being a black man and this person being white and family having money and having it was a whole different thing. You feel me? So we talk about mass incarceration of Black men through the cops. Now, let's be honest. Now, when a police officer come into a inner city neighborhood, right? What they hear, what they see, okay, we know it's drugs over here. We know it's prostitutes, it's gangs, and it's all that. So when a lot of officers come into our neighborhoods, they don't come there like, okay, we're going to protect and serve. They come in there already on the defense. You understand what I'm saying? They already on the defense, like we got to watch these people. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, I don't talk to officers. Like I know officers that used to do a lot of security. And look, I'm telling you, Black officers, white officers, they tell me the same thing. When they go into the Black neighborhoods, they have to be different than when they go into the white neighborhoods, And I think that is so systematic, Why can you treat them the same way? You feel what I mean? But you know what? They're not going to do that because they're taught this, though. I don't know if you can tell me how your superiors used to tell you about certain neighborhoods and how to be in certain neighborhoods. If you want to talk about that, that's cool. But I know for a fact that they are taught and told different things for different neighborhoods that they're going to.
Well, my first police experience, I was an intern with the state agency here in Michigan, and it was a very professional agency.
Yeah.
I learned a lot there. Um, there were certain areas that they didn't want single police officers to go into because they had a different crime rate. But overall, we treated people with respect, no matter what ethnicity. Um, there's still, in the Detroit area, there's still, even though there's drugs and there's crime, there's still people that are just trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
And they're coming to and go to and from work. They're just trying to exist. They're trying to keep their houses up. And maybe they don't want to move from the old neighborhood because that's been their house for 20, 30 years. You
Yeah.
really have to be compassionate to all folks of different walks of life. I didn't experience, supervisors telling us to treat different areas different. I didn't have that. I was working at all the agencies I worked at were multi-ethnic, meaning we had Black officers, we had white officers, we had Middle Eastern officers. We had it wasn't all like a white department. So I didn't really see that side of law enforcement. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Oh, we know. I know for a fact it exists. So I know it. And like I said, you in a different, especially when you talk, let's be honest with you, when you talk about a lot of these all white, look, I'm in Tennessee. You got to remember, I'm by Kentucky. There's a lot of hillbilly towns down here. You understand what I'm saying? And they operate different. I actually lived in one, okay? They operate totally different. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying
the organizational cultures differ from department to department. And you never know what you're going to get.
Especially in the South. I'm just going to be honest. I grew up in the South, and the South is not the same. It's a different animal down here. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, it's a reason why it's a place called Manchester, Tennessee. It's kind of one of the top hubs for sex trafficking, because you got to think they're bringing women through that small town. And it's so small. I lived there for 17 months, by the way, but it's so small. And people know what's going on, but it's I don't know if you ever seen this movie called Traffic. It was a true story, and it was a small town like Manchester. They bringing the girls in tractor trailers, and the sheriff was actually part of it. And little
I've
town.
never seen the movie.
Yeah, you already was called Traffic. But I'm just saying. She was able to get away, but just think about all the women that don't get away,
Yeah.
So
it's scary.
You talk about, look, police, right? Okay. Policing is one thing, right? But what's happening is a lot of these police officers, they are trained in a way that I think they should have better training. Okay. People saying defund the police, all this, and don't get me wrong, I'm a hip hop artist, right? And a lot of my lyrics, I'm like, fuck 12, right? Fuck the police, right? I get on my NWA shit, right? But the thing is everybody say, so you saying, oh, fuck all police? No, what we saying is fuck the police that say fuck us, right? But instead of trying to say, oh, fuck the bad cops, we just say fuck the police, right? Now, my take on police, when I was younger, was totally different. I said, fuck all cops. It wasn't no who good, who bad, because how I was treated, the shit that I went through, and I was a criminal. So at the end of the day, I'm going to do what the fuck I got to do, and they're going to do what the fuck they got to do to try to catch anything that I'm doing. So of course I'm going to say, fuck the police, right? Now, being who I am now, I know that there's a lot of officers out there that are doing their job, they're protecting and serving, and they're not bad cops, okay? But this is one thing you got to remember. When you put that badge on, you got to leave your personal problems at home. When you put that badge on, you can be the most racist motherfucker in the world. I don't care what color you is in your personal life. Who gives a fuck? But when you put that badge on, you have to live up to that badge. You have to, if it's just for your 8-hour shift, you can't look at this black man different, that white man different. No, you got to do your job, okay? And that's my thing. A lot of these officers bring personal issues, personal shit into a job that's supposed to protect and serve the people. The people.
If the officer's that racist, then they probably shouldn't be a police officer to begin with.
Yeah, but this is the thing. But that's what people got to understand. It doesn't matter if they're racist or not, and this is why I say that, right? I'm not saying racist cops should be the police. No, hell no. That ain't what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, if a racist cop it's racist judges, it's racist lawyers, racist political motherfucker. We just had a president that was open fucking racist. Like, let's be honest. So them people are gonna get in office. Them people are gonna get in position of power. Don't matter what color they are, but they're gonna have their beliefs. My thing is this. When you are in a position of power, you should do non-bias, okay? It shouldn't matter. If you a black person, you hate white people. If you're patrolling the street, you shouldn't treat the white people different from what you're treating the black people. If you're a white cop that's going out there in these streets and you don't like black people, or you are not for interracial dating and you encounter a white woman and a black man in a domestic dispute, you shouldn't be on the white person's side because you don't like the fact that she's with a black person, right? That's what I'm saying. But a lot of these officers and stuff, that is not how they approach things. You know, a lot of these officers go from their own traumas too, okay? Maybe they were beat up by black kids at their school. Like, you know, we talked about before, and they were like, well, shit, I'm gonna become a police officer, and every black motherfucker I get a chance to encounter, I'm gonna treat like shit, and hoping they buck my badge. I'm telling you, this happens. This is not...
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't, but, you know,
yeah.
People would, when I was a police officer, people would come in and complain about me. I had, you're going to get complaints if you're out there doing your job.
Yeah.
And people would try to say, he just wrote me a ticket because I'm black. And my supervisor would say, who is also black? He's like, oh no, Officer Gorbe, he writes tickets to everybody. It's not because you're black.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good to have an administration that's behind you. But again, a lot of people didn't understand the organizational culture of our department. It was multi-ethnic. We had black officers, we had Middle Eastern officers, we had white officers. So it wasn't a racist department for the most part. Some of the administrators, anyway, that's a different story. But
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying you're not going to find that, but anything's possible because, you're talking about human beings and
yeah,
a lot of police departments, they're not as professional as they could be. And it's hard to get everybody on the same page because you got some bad apples that go up the ladder and they're the chief or the sergeants or lieutenants. So,
okay, I get something to you. Just so you can understand, I'm going to put it on the basis of this right here. When I come on my podcast, right, I'm Joaquin, right? My real name is Joaquin too, but I'm Joaquin with a Q when I'm on my podcast, right? So I'm Joaquin. My hip hop name is Joaquin with a Q. But when I'm doing music, and like if you go watch my videos and stuff like that, you see that what I do in music is a little different than what I do when I get on the podcast. Now, in my film that I'm in back here, whatever, I'm my real name. Like I'm Joaquin Abdullah Talib, right? Because when I'm directing film and I'm getting these actors to do what I've wrote, that is who I am as a director. right? I'm not a hip hop artist. I'm not a podcaster at that time. I am a director and I'm an actor and I got to get these shots and these parts done. When I get on here and I'm interviewing people, I might not ever hang out with half of these people that I might be interviewing. I probably never want to connect with them, but this is a platform that I'm giving you to say what you need to say and stuff that we want to know about you and let you have, talking on my platform. So I gotta be that person, right? I gotta ask you the tough questions. I gotta be like, so what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Now, in my personal life, I might not never ask you some of the questions. You get what I'm saying? But I'm gonna ask you on this platform, like the next question I'm about to ask you when it comes to crooked cops. Now, have you ever encountered a crooked cop that you knew was crooked and you did or did not report them? Like, what does that come to? Because I always hear about cops that report the crooked cops. They end up getting shunned by some of the people in the unit. Okay. Right. And I'm not talking about a damn movie. I'm talking about shit that I know. You get what I mean? Fuck a movie, even though we know that they put real shit. I'm talking about, I know people went like they get shunned for not being that person and it's shut up. Now in the street code, we call that snitching, right? So, you can't be a snitch, you know what I'm saying, from the streets. But when it comes to being a cop, have you ever encountered that?
Yes, definitely. But I was one of 3 police officers that were unlawfully terminated from our police department for standing up against illegal things. So I definitely understand what you were saying as far as, officers being shunned who do the right thing. It's sometimes it is hard to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, I don't have any regrets. Well, I mean, it's been really tough on me and my family. But I encountered a crooked cop, but we stood up to him and we're still feeling the burn from it. So, Americans, they want to hear these kind of stories, and they want cops to stand up for what's right. But the courts and these city administrations, they're going to try to destroy you financially. They're going to try to burn you. They're going to try to silence you. It's tough sometimes for cops to stand up and do the right thing, but you have to do it. A lot of them, some of them don't, because they need the job. They got kids. They need groceries. They need that paycheck. And you really got to think about what you're doing. But, we saw illegal stuff at our department for so long, we just finally stood up and said, enough's enough.
Well, let me ask you, okay, so what's the difference from you go to the hood, you got these cats out here that's selling dope or whatever, and they like, man, I can't get a job or it's not paying me enough what I need to feed my family, and they keep on doing it, even though they know the consequences, right? Now, think about it. Being in that situation, you said, look, I'm going to take a stand, right? Now, what about the people that didn't take a stand, right? They probably still in the department. They're going to get their little pension, they pension, and they retirement fund or whatever, because in their eyes, they feel like, well, I can just look past the bad just for me. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of shit in the police department, because I've seen a lot of situations where other cops could have stepped in and made sure.
If you speak up, sometimes you get burned. Like we did.
Look at George Floyd. Just seeing that thing that happened to George Floyd. Look at them cops. They could have said, hey man, you get up off his neck. You even had some of the cops say, hey man, you ain't got to put him down like that. But then they just stopped. Like, they just let him do what he did. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Chauvin was the he was kind of like the veteran on scene. That's what I kind of got from the news reports.
Yeah.
So a lot of these cops were just like, well, whatever Chauvin's doing, he's got seniority, which was wrong.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean,
but don't that happen? That happens in the police department, right?
Sure.
Like, even in gang culture, it happens the same thing. You know what I mean? Person got sprayed. You're like, oh man, all right, well, let's.
Right. I think if those cell phone cameras weren't there, we would have had a different outcome. We may have had a different outcome with that case.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
thankfully,
Look at Michael Brown, you know.
right.
Look at George Zimmerman. Let's just be honest. If nobody was really there,
Well, right.
George
These are all
Zimmer.
different cases. You got
Yeah,
to really analyze each one.
yeah.
But
They all did. But I'm just saying, like, it's easy. I was always taught, and I teach my kids, especially my boys, first and foremost, never pull over in a dark area when you get blue lighted. Never.
yeah,
Never. You
I've heard
drive
that. Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah, but you know what? And
You
then
have to be sensitive when you're a police officer too, for people to want to do that. Like, hey, why is this person not pulling over? You have to be ready for that, and that's a training issue. Maybe they're just trying to get to a lit area.
Yeah, because honestly, a lot of stuff happens, especially when it's dark and stuff like that. Stuff can happen. We have seen these videos of stuff happening at nighttime, not really well lit areas, and they got to circle and analyze and see if he had a gun, if he didn't, and my thing is, especially women, a lot of stuff. I just read about a guy that faked being a police officer, ended up raping a woman and stuff. So,
we've had those cases in Michigan too.
Yeah. So you got to think, man, look, you get blue lighted. I always do it. I don't give a damn. They blue light me. I just be like that. I put my hand and say, I wave them like I'm going somewhere lit. If they want to get mad, arrest me because I wouldn't stop, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to make sure that I go somewhere lit so I can make sure I protect my life. You understand what I'm saying?
Speaking of that, I just had to turn the light on out here.
You good. you get, and that's just the way it is, man. It's like, and if they don't understand that, then what else can you say? But look, I don't like the way that what you said, right? You said, the administration, the judge, or whoever else in the county, it's like they penalize you for standing up. So what that makes you think about them, like who they are for penalizing you, like you said, it's been hard on your family just because you stood up, right? Well, think about the people.
It is heartbreaking and it is troubling when you pay your taxes and for the courts to operate and you don't have access to the courts. You got to pay to play again. You got to pay another fee to get into the courts. It is, and it's very troubling. And I think that it's a flaw in our justice system.
Yeah.
Where, people just don't have access to the courts where they should, because you got to pay to play and it's expensive.
Oh yeah, it's expensive. And you got that money and you're able to do that. I guess it's a blessing. But like you said, man, a lot of court comes from money. It's money. It's a money game. It's a business.
Right. At the end of the day, it's not a business. Joaquin.
It's a racket. Yeah.
It's a racket, because think about it. The only people that can really work the courts are judges and attorneys.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
It's a specialized crew. You got to have specialized training, and they charge a lot of money to have access to the courts.
And what's so crazy, they all probably went to school, and they all go and eat lunch at the same place, talk about cases. Like, hey, so how about I give you him and you give me him? Like, really, they really do that. Like, okay, we'll give him 15 and then you sign for a 4 for him because, he ain't really been in much trouble, or however they try to do that. Like, that happened in my case, man. And I'm like, what can you do though? Like, how can you fight that when you got a judge and people that sit on the legislation? Yeah, that's a better angle for you right there. And people it's better. Sit on a legislation, and it's not much you can do because they are the people in power. They are the people in power.
Sure, they're the judges. They're going to say what's up, and you just accept it, or what are you going to appeal? And it's more money.
Yeah.
And people just don't have, the big corporations have that money, but in the municipalities have it. But everyday people, they don't have that kind of money. So they got to just kind of wing it and try to hope that the judges have mercy on them, which 50-50. So, I mean, it's very troubling, the court system. in this
And you
country.
know what they say? Most of the cases end up in a cop out, because even if you innocent, like, I did an alpha plea. Because look, this is the thing. I'm going to be honest. When they say the jury of your peers, it's really not the jury of your peers. Because if it's the jury of my peers, I should have motherfuckers up at it straight from the hood where I'm from. You feel me? Not one person be up there from the hood that I'm from. You feel me? So that's the thing. When they say jury of your peers, they basically saying we're going to get somebody that is the stand-up guy of society that's never been in no type of trouble, not even had a crime committed against them, and we're going to put them in the jury, and basically whoever got the best argument wins. It ain't look, man, people always say innocent to proven guilty. That ain't true. Because I feel like this. If I'm innocent till proven guilty, why am I in jail? All right. Why are you giving me a no bond, which they do? You saying you think I shot that person. You were told that I did this. So you said, okay, cool. I'm going to put you in jail. You can't have no bond. But if I'm innocent to proven guilty, why am I not getting the bond? All because you believe I did it. You already say, well, I think he did it. Look at me.
Depends on, it's a case by case basis. Again, it depends on evidence and.
But let's talk about evidence. Look how many black men are getting free from prison right now for crimes they didn't commit back in the 80s and the 70s and the early 90s. Look how many have been released by the Innocent Project. Look how many. Yeah. They releasing them like every week. 20 years, 30 years. One guy did 41 years. Another guy did 50 years for a crime he didn't commit.
If they haven't committed the crime, they shouldn't be in prison. And a lot of that is that's coming through with DNA evidence, since DNA evidence becoming so dependable compared to what it used to be.
But think about it, out of the 2.5 million people in prison, which, is more black men in prison in the U.S. than anything, which the stats is crazy when it comes to black men in the penitentiary. That's why they always talk about prison reform and mass incarceration of black men, because most of the black men in prison are in there for nonviolent crimes. Now, the thing is this right here. When all that stuff happened in the 70s and Richard Nixon and then Ronald Reagan and everything was target to the black community, it became what it is now, right? Especially with the welfare and all that. Now, you got to think about something. All the way that the prison system is set up, most black men don't have the funds. Okay, like if you're looking at the stat wise of where they're living, they don't have that money to be spending all the time. You get what I'm saying? They don't have that family that got generational wealth or own 5-6 different businesses in the city. So it's like, what grandmama gonna do? Put up a house? Then grandma put up a house. They go to trial. Then he's guilty. Why is he guilty? Is he guilty because of evidence, or is he guilty by chance? Right? And like I said, and I've noticed this for being in the court system, going to prison and stuff. A lot of them, whoever got the best argument and whatever the jury believes. You know what I mean? It has really nothing to do with the evidence. I've seen people convicted with no evidence. I went to prison. No evidence. It was he say, she say, and I went to prison. So is it really about evidence? Is who got the best argument? How can I paint this person? If my lawyer can't paint me as the most upstanding citizen in the world, and the prosecutor can paint me as the most fucked up menace to society, where you think I'm going? I'm going to prison. You're coming up your mic. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're coming up your mic. There you go.
I said all cases are different. You got to have a decent lawyer, and then they're going to charge a lot of money. It's really hard to. It's just a vicious cycle, and some people get caught up in that. Some people are guilty as heck. Some people are wrongly convicted.
And you know what? You got a lot of people that is guilty and get off.
Yeah.
Money. I don't see. I'm telling you, money done got a lot of people off.
Too.
And you like, Damn, or they get he didn't read his Miranda rights. What?
Right. You just forgot, I got one guy that, was a drunk driving case and he had a high dollar lawyer and I forgot to put my initials on the back of the blood alcohol levels sheet. And it was a technicality and the guy got off.
They just threw it out just like that. Oh, you've got your initial.
Yeah. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I forgot to initial the form and the case was thrown out.
And you know what?
So, crazy things happen.
Now, what if it got thrown out, then a week later, that guy ended up drunk driving and killing the whole family,
Yeah, I did my job. The court rules, whatever. It's not on me. I did my job.
Yeah.
So, it could happen. You're right. This guy probably went out and he's drunk. He's drinking and driving the next night.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens, man. And and you've been an ex-cop, man. I know your job. Look, me being an ex-con, my job trying to stay away from cops was very fucking hard. Okay. So I know your job when you was a cop was very hard. But you know what? It
wasn't easy.
But now, I'm glad you're able to talk about it. And in your book, Selling the Police, can you give us a rundown about Selling the Police? Because it sounds like you said, I'm about to let y'all know what's really fucking going on. Is that basically?
Selling the Police is my discussion on how I think that we could, as a profession, improve our PR image by combining our modern day police training with simple, proven sales techniques, merging those two professions into one and selling ourselves on a daily basis to improve our PR image. And I think I discuss various ways we can do it. I discuss speaking body language. I discuss asking questions. I discuss using names, just simple things where I think that, people become more comfortable with us. And I think a lot of the times, if we know how to talk to people as police officers, I think that we can talk our way out of physical confrontation and by talking to people, get things done without getting physical. So, and I think that my book also creates it also has some suggestions on how to do our job safer. Like, I think that, police officers should understand the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Why was the law created? And then the letter of the law. Police officers, there's a discussion on that. Police officers should also be rethinking, possibly rethinking some of our missions right now. Some of the things we do, we might want to back off on. Yeah. Because of the current climate, the anti-police rhetoric in this country. If people are upset with the police, why would you go out and write a bunch of speeding tickets? Why would you do it? You become more reactionary versus proactive. And I think that's, for self-preservation for police officers, it's something we need to discuss. But selling the police is, like I said, I discuss body language. I discuss things like, talking to people before you get their license, just simple things. Why do we do these things? The way we're trained.
Because the way they train, then come on, license registration, please. Like, damn, what I do? License and registration, please.
Right. When I was
let me know what's going on. Like,
when I was going through the police academy, they said you don't talk to people until you get your ID, and it's implied consent. They have to surrender it to you. Well, people don't understand that. You got to have a little bit more softer approach, I think, these days. And
it's a different time, man. A lot of people are very sensitive.
People don't.
They get offended a lot quicker.
The police. You want people to love you, you got to be a firefighter.
Yeah, that's true. Or EMT.
The police right now.
A firefighter or EMT. Yeah, you're right.
So I go through, the remedies and a bunch of different suggestions where people can, see, even if somebody just took one thing from that book, if a police officer read the book and said, you know what, I got to do this better. I got to concentrate on using names, or I got to be better at speaking body language. And when I say speaking body language, not only identifying body language, but speaking it yourself. Police officers are putting out that body language themselves. So why would we put out negative body language? You have to. There's certain ways that subconsciously people pick up on things that you're saying through your body language.
And you know what?
Talk a lot about that.
You are absolutely right about that, because if you come, if that's anybody, like if you come to me aggressively, I'm gonna naturally be like, hold on, I'm gonna go into defense mode. But I always remember sometimes people take your body language the wrong way too, just like they take the way that you run. You know what? My grandma always said this: it's not what you say, it's how people perceive it. And that's
your tonality. Yep.
That's real. And you can be saying something in the most good, non-threatening way, but a person say, well, why you saying like that? And they get defensive. And that's when you got to say, hold on. You got to back up instead of keep going and going, because that could cause problems. So that basically,
these techniques aren't going to work every time, but we could at least try sometimes. You got to at least try to talk to people before you go hands-on. And you see videos of police officers that it's like, yeah, of course you're Monday morning quarterbacking, but you're like, wow, that could have gone a different way if they would have just tried talking to the person. Yeah. So I discuss a lot of that in my book.
Hey, I want to ask you one more question before we get to the. Have you ever? Well, pretty sure you shot your service weapon, but you ever had to take the life of somebody during your 15 years as a police officer?
I have not. Fortunately, I have not had to make that decision.
All right. But you ever, had to fire at somebody?
No. Fortunately, I have not had to do that. I had to shoot at a couple pit bulls once. That was the extent of, things that the animal they were attacking me. And it is an eerie feeling to have to kill something that's coming to kill you. Yeah. And even that, I get triggers every day from that incident. But luckily, I never had to fire my service weapon at anybody.
Look,
you made it out.
Yeah, you made it out real good. Before we get into these last two segments, brother, can you let everybody know where they can find your book and where they can connect with you on social media?
Selling the Police is on Amazon right now, and you just search Selling the Police. Michael Tyler Jr. is my pen name.
Michael Tyler Jr.
And that Michael Tyler Jr. is on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook, Michael Gorbe, Gorbe. And, feel free to message me with any questions or anything. I am available for interviews, consulting work. I contributor work, whatever anybody needs, I'm available.
What if I need you for a movie to show us how to enter a room as a police officer? Because I'm actually going to be doing a movie where I'm actually going to.
You let me know, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Because I'm actually gonna do a movie where I'm playing a detective. So
let me know. I would be happy to work with you.
Yeah. Have some luck being a consultant and a coordinator on the film, which is better to get it from the real police, like a lot of Hollywood, because they know exactly, you hold it like this, So there's just something I want to touch you about. Okay. Well, look, we're going to get to our last two segments of the day, man. All right. The first segment is called Under the Bus. Basically, I'm going to give you two names and you tell me which one you're going to throw under the bus. But on this one, since you are in the armed force, that you was a ex-police officer, I'm going to have to give you something from the armed forces. Okay. So you're going to have to pick one. Which one would you pick over the other one? So, you got two. You have the Marines or the Navy SEALs. Which one of those would you pick, and which one you would throw up under the bus?
Oh my goodness, that is a tough choice. Those are two.
I know. I had to. That's why I had to give you the Marines or the Navy. If I would have said Army, and you're like, okay, good. No, the Marines and the Navy SEALs. You only can pick one, and one got to go under the bus, brother. Which one is it? you're picking and which one is going up under?
Oh my God, it's like,
the bus?
oh my gosh. I guess we'll throw the Marines under the bus.
Hey, look, Michael Gorbe, he have picked the Navy SEALs, which Navy SEALs, if you want to be a Navy SEAL, you got to go through some intense training. But the Marines,
Yeah,
they
the Marines are intense too.
But I'm sorry, but Michael Gorbe has picked the Navy SEALs. So the Marines
know their job. The Marines know their job.
They know it, but guess what? So. Y'all got to go up under the bus. That's what's up. Appreciate that. Now we're going to get to our last segment of this podcast, which is called Brutally Honest. Basically, I ask you a question and you give me your honest opinion. And if you don't, I will roast your ass. Let me just
say that I love the Marines still, though, too.
Yeah. Like, I will roast you if you do not answer this question. Okay. That means I will be a comedian for about 5 seconds roasting your ass. All right. That's how that go. So here we go. So the question is, have you ever wanted to punch your superior in the face?
Oh, yes. Definitely. Definitely.
But
you can't do it.
But you can't do it. I know, man. I had to ask you that because you're a cop, and I'm like, hey, ex-cop, whatever, but still, you still got the cop blood in you, brother, because it's kind of like...
I have no idea how, anyways.
Yeah, hey, look, one thing punching your boss, but punching your superior when you're an officer is a totally different thing. That's like going to the military and hitting your damn drill sergeant in the mouth. It's like, there's going to be some problems.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you talk about getting court-martialed. That's going to be crazy right there. But I appreciate you having you on the podcast, man. Now it's time.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. So now it's time for me to do my drop, y'all. If y'all want to listen to my music, y'all already know, man. It's Wykeem, W-Y-Q-E-E-M. It's W-Y-Q, Eric, Mimi, Mama, Moo. Make sure if y'all want to go watch my videos, it's Wykeem TV. It's W-Y-Q-E-E-M TV. It's W-Y-Q, Eric, Mimi, Mama, Moo TV. And look, this Heat Level Podcast, y'all want to listen to this podcast, you can get on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts is at, or you can go to heatlevelpodcast.com, or if you want to see the visuals and see us talk and see these people and see my background, you can go on YouTube to Heat Level Podcast. Should I spell it for you? Hell no, because if you don't know how to spell Heat Level Podcast, why in the hell are you even looking, listening, or watching, or whatever the hell you're doing on my channel? You need to learn how to spell Heat Level Podcast. But anyways, Mr. Michael Gorbe, I would like for you to give the people some inspiring words before we get up out of this podcast.
Well, keep your chin up no matter what happens. You never know what the tide's going to drag in from day to day. So you always got to be positive. You always got to be trying, and you always got to be in a constant state of training and learning. And that's my words of wisdom for our audience tonight.
Man, I appreciate it, man. And y'all already know my word of wisdom is this: like, comment, share, and subscribe. And go get Michael Gorbe book. This was an ex-cop talking to an ex-con. Can we get that? Can we get that? We both have left our other journeys behind to be who we are now. So look, that's what's up, man. Appreciate you coming on, Michael Gorbe. Thanks for the inspiration for my people. And everybody, y'all know how I always say, I'm about this big.
Every time they in, they ride. Every time they hear this beat. Every time they in the spot. Every time I'm on they street. They listening to me. They listening to me.